Hi grade 6, so today we're going to talk a little bit about sampling. This is going to be probably a little bit of a shorter video because sampling is one of those things that is quite short to explain but does take a bit of practice, so you'll have a chance to kind of play around with this a little bit. So first I'm just going to talk to you about what sampling means, and then I'm going to show you how we can use technology to create a simple random sample. So when we talk about sampling, I don't know if you've ever been to a supermarket, and sometimes when you go down the cheese aisle, there's a woman there or a man, and they have like a little table, and they have little bits of cheese, and you just try a little bit. They don't give you a whole block of cheese to eat, they just give you a tiny bit. And a sample is kind of like the data equivalent of that. It's where you take a little bit of something just to get an idea of what it's like, but you're not taking the whole thing. In maths, we talk about samples and a census. Okay, a census is when you collect all the information from every single person. So for example, if I decided to do a census of grade 6, that means I would be collecting information from every single grade 6 student, and I wouldn't be able to miss anybody out. If I was doing a sample of grade 6, I might say, okay, I'm going to do one advisor group from grade 6. I'm just going to take 22 students as opposed to all of grade 6. So that's the difference between a census and a sample. A sample is just one group within a bigger group, and a census is everybody. So sample a little bit, census everybody. Now, census can be quite difficult because it obviously involves a lot of time and effort, and sometimes if you're doing it with really big groups, it can be quite expensive. Obviously, a sample is easier, it's quicker, it costs less time and money, but it does only give you a small picture of a group as opposed to everybody. So when you're one of these people who works as a statistician collecting data, you need to decide, is a sample going to be enough, or do I need to do a census? And most of the time, if you choose your sample carefully, a sample can be enough. So we're going to have a look at how we can do a random sample. What that means is I'm going to pick a small amount of a larger group, and then use that to find information which I can then find averages of and make inferences of, maybe draw some bar charts and pie charts. But the first thing is the sample to collect the information in the first place. If you think about when we did our survey at the first lesson, obviously that was a census because everybody in grade 6 was asked. But we are going to, when we have that information, which is obviously going to be lots and lots and lots of information, and any of you who have looked at the spreadsheet, it's loads of information, it's probably useful that instead of taking every single last person, we just take a sample to make things easier. So let's imagine, let's use some example as always, let's imagine I have 30 pupils. I've taken all of these pupils, and I decide, well, I'm not going to collect information from 30 of them, I'm just going to do a sample, I'm just going to find out about 5 people. So the first thing you'll notice is that if you look along this data, I've given everybody a number. When you do a random sample, it's important that you give everybody a number. It makes your life much easier. So instead of saying Alan, which is qualitative data, I'm going to use the number 1, which is quantitative. And then Lucy is 2, and Tom is 3, all the way up to Karen, who is 30. And I'm just going to choose 5 of these at random. Now, random is a word that's often misunderstood. When we say something is random, that doesn't mean we just go, that one, that one, that one. Because that, even though we try and do it randomly, we're always influenced by things. So for example, if I picked Alan, I'm probably not going to pick Lucy because they'll be like, oh, I don't want to pick 2 people from the same space. So to make our lives easier, so that we can do things truly randomly, we give everybody a number, and then we use technology. Most of the time we use a spreadsheet, sometimes you can use your calculator, to generate random numbers. I'm going to give you a very quick instruction of how to do that. I'm going to show you on Excel, but the formulas are the same for Google Sheets. So, if I want to generate a random number, I've got 2 options. I can do a rand, which is just a random number, which can be a decimal, or rand between, which is where I say, okay, I know what numbers I want to choose, so start here, end here, and give me any number in between. Now when we want to type these in as a formula, you'll notice that the formula always starts with an equal sign. So whenever you want to put any formula into Google Sheets or Excel, you start with an equal, and then we say rand for random number, and then there's an open and close bracket, and I've got nothing inside that bracket. If you don't have it, then it doesn't work. And it says put it into a cell. Anything that's any box is called a cell. So for example here you can see I've put equals rand bracket bracket and it's given me a random number. If I press function F9 you can see that it continues to just generate random numbers. We've then got rand between, which is a bit more useful for our purposes, where you can say, okay, this can be the smallest, this can be the biggest, and give me any number in between. And it only gives you whole numbers. So here, for example, I've said, okay, I want numbers between 1 and 30, and I want you to give me any number at random between 1 and 30. So you can see it's 2, press it again, 30, 1, 20, 27, 2, 3, and I keep pressing it and it keeps generating random numbers. So to generate a random number, you press function and F9. Now how does that work in practice? Well, let's say I have our numbers again, and in 5 boxes, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, I put that formula. Give me random numbers between 1 and 30. And as you can see, pressing function F9 again, I can just keep generating random numbers. And by generating that, it picks 5 people at random, like a lottery. So example, if I picked 16, 21, 6, 25, and 19, that would be, well, number 16 is James, number 21 is Daniela, Nadima, Catherine, and Sasha. So I can pick 5 people at random using my random number formula. And I'll just put that back on the screen there for you. So, generating a random sample is fair because I'm not able to choose the ones I want. I'm not able to make sure that I only pick numbers that are smaller than 10 or anything like that. There's no bias, there's no influence by me. It means that I just take 5 people, and it could be any 5 people, and I pick them at random. So I make the formula, and then I just choose the people that link to the numbers. And that's it. That's how to do a random sample. So if you want to have a go at this, well, you're going to have a go in a minute, and you're going to use the same data, but you're going to generate some random numbers, and also you're going to use some random numbers that I've generated for you. You can use these formula. When we do our project, this is going to be something you're going to do with the data that we collected from the survey. So learning these formulae now will be helpful going forwards. Okay. Have a go at that and see how that goes.